we will be discussing about Winback audiences. So Winback audiences is your like a lapsed customers. So in the typical customer journey, we start from customer like a non-buyer to buyer, buyer to repeat, like a one-time buyer to repeat buyer to recurring, and recurring to your lapsed customers. So this is like a complete customer journey. So in this series, we have already discussed like the first three ones. So now today the agenda, the focus is on the last step, which is like the lapsed audience. So lapsed audience is basically that. How the audience, if someone is not buying again from you, so what can be done in that case, and how to prevent that, and how to start with that. So in this, we will cover why your customers stop buying from you, number one. Number two, what we can learn about your customers buying behavior. And third is the tactics, like tactics to engage your customers back. So these are the three parts. So one is the learning, second is the like so one is like you can prevention is better than cure. So you can prevent, if you can prevent. Second is like what you can learn from them, so it doesn't happen with everyone else, or like for the other customers. And third is like tactics to engage them back. Now with the PPCC framework, so just to before introducing or jumping into that, I just want to reintroduce our PPC framework. So PCC frameworks talks about like so this is our proprietary framework which we uses to increase the customer lifetime value of e-commerce brands. And in this, we start with the customer, like the product. So we start with the product. We look at the product price, product bundling, product discounting, product like cross sell, upsell. So everything about the product. Once that is sorted, then we move to like customer value maximization, which talks about like the journey which we discussed, like non-buyer, one-time buyer, recurring, and lapsed buyer. So these are like four buckets. And then what we have is like communication maximization, which is your this thing like email, like so you centralize the strategy and then you communicate across the channels. And what we have is the optimization as the last leg, which covers all the testing, reporting, and everything else. So and this is a like a zoom in version of a value maximization framework. So in this, we look at like non-buyer. So non-buyer is like their purchase funnel, this thing. Then there is like one-time buyers. One-time buyers is like if someone buys for the first time, how we get them back, or what we can get the max out of, like either review, either like a share, either subscription, like those things. And then when to like for recurring is mostly around when to include the loyalty program, when to include the referral program, and everything around that, like memberships, and also whatever you can keep the customer. And also it talks about more about community and like building the trust and the emotional connection with the brand. And last, which is the topic for today, is the lapsed buyer, where we will be discussing what we can learn from these customers and what to communicate to these customers who have stopped buying. So that's the broadly the agenda. And now coming to this, so what's the key question? Like the question or the problem we are trying to solve in this webinar is what causes someone to stop buying from a brand. So that's the fundamental question, which where the things start, that what causes someone to stop buying from you. So that's where the whole situation starts. So this is the starting point. So typically, like there have been many studies, and this is mainly service industry, but they have been like across like McKinsey, Deloitte, and like Accenture. Like there are multiple studies which came to the same conclusion, that indifference is or lack of empathy, or is the number one reason why customer doesn't shop or like change switch brands. So it's like customer believes that they don't care, you don't care about them. So that's the number one reason. And it has came like the percentage, you can debate on the percentages, and like it was 70% in this, but typically that's been the case, because if they are buying again, that means the product is required, it's solving some problem, and they are happy with the product. So if they have bought like because it's very tough to explain 5-time buyer churn, or it's very tough to explain like someone who stopped buying after buying like for a year and then they just stop buying. And at that situation, mostly it's about that they feel that you don't care about them, there is no loyalty, like there is no recognition of loyalty, or there is no reward for loyalty, or they simply feel that the brand has become too big, or like doesn't care, or like gone distracted, or like what happens with Apple, or what's happening with Google nowadays. So those kind of things, where the whole reputation of the brand takes a hit, and people feel that brand is not thinking the best about them, and they start looking for options in the market. And Second can be like there can be other options that the competition might have a better product, or like a price is better, or someone might have a more advanced or technological stuff and this thing. But that's I would, in my experience, I would rate them less. I would primarily say that it's mostly to do with your empathy or lack of empathy for the customer, and rest other factor like the product, technology, and this. So they might have a role, but if you care about the customer, you can always read between the lines and get to those points. So even if you are customer is not happy with the price, or customer is not happy with the the service or this thing, so if you care about the customer, you will eventually figure it out. Like it's not that it will not be, you will not be able to figure it out. The problem becomes that if you are not looking for the customer, or if you are not listening to the customer, then you will miss all those other factors like competition, price, features, or like any other advantage which someone else has, or there is some other job to be done which you are lacking. So those will be like solved by the customer, if you listen to it will be solved by the brands who listen to their customers. So that's mostly the idea of this exercise, that first you need to understand why someone stop buying from you. So that's the part. Like labs is not about a win back email, or like a offer or a discount. So they've already bought from you, so they know the brand. You don't need to create trust again, you don't need to send reviews again, you don't need to tell them that how awesome we are or what's our product benefit. Like that's always works, but that will not cut it through. And that's the problem why most of the brands win back programs or like a reactivation program doesn't work, because they are more focused on the technical side, and they don't get to the like core issue, which is like customer feels that you are not listening to them, or you are not you are not taking care of them. So that's the fundamental thing. So the first part of this in this presentation, we will be focusing on how to keep your customers, because you can always get to that point where you are trying to get them back, and try to figure it out how to get them, and you are sending some messages and all those things. But eventually, if you put your foot right foot in the first step, so you don't need to get to that points. And there are few things which the good brands are doing already, and which everyone needs to learn, and which they can easily adopt and keep in their strategy. So how to keep your customers? So we are giving five tricks. There's like a vast there are like 100 things you can do to keep your customers, but these are the five most effective things which we figure out, and which we in our experience works really well. So number one is like clear operation communication. So clear operation communication is stems from the fact that customer has just bought something, so they want to know that what has been what's been their money's worth, or how's their money is being spent, or uh, if they were promised a service or a product, so what's the promise, and like a clear operational communication. So basically it will include anything to with the delay shipment, anything with the any changes, product level changes in any order status updates, anything which we can do to create that trust and create that transparency between that this is your order and we are working on it. If it's like some issues is there, we are working on it. So it's mostly comes down to transparency, that this thing uh, that the more transparency you create in the business, and in your dealings with the customer, the more they will feel more involved, and they will be able to trust more. And that becomes the main part, that any delay, any refunds, anything in the terms of status, and any policy changes also. Like if it's take the shipping takes like 10 days, so you mention 10 days. If it's a pre-order, you mention pre-order. If it's like shipping cost is extra, you mention shipping cost extra. So it comes down to like doing right things right way, and have a clear communication, operations communication. So operational communication is the fundamental part. And then it comes down to like real time tracker. So you have to do a real time tracker where you track these are some examples. These are not might not be relevant to your industry or your product range, but I'm just trying to show that like for food delivery, for Pizza Hut, they have a tracker. Like order tracking is definitely there, and I will say that go granular on your order tracking. Like instead of just showing like one or two, you show like 10 statuses to the customer, and try to give them every part of the information, and that becomes really important to create that trust, and show them like how much effort it takes. Even this operational communication can be also be nicely used in the branding. Like you can show how we got to this product, how many iterations it took, how many experiments we did, how many, what's our research level, how many years we have spent in like building or perfecting this product. Like those kind of things also creates that kind of a trust for the product, and that helps with the retention. Like the most important part is that clear communication, operational communication always improves your retention rates. So and second is like run post purchase value realization. So value realization is that you need to realize the value, like a customer needs to realize the value of the product. So basically the problem comes that there is a promise, you do lots of good promises, there is a like a very Ethiopian or like a very like future dreamland kind of a situation which marketers sell, and they create that environment that you use our product and this will be your situation, like your future will be bright and this is the situation. Now customer, based on that promise, customer buys something, so they are over here, your promised land is over here. Now you need to walk them through toward that journey. So most of the e-commerce like SaaS company does this better or other companies does this better, but e-commerce companies, like after the purchase, they just drop the ball and they say that you need to figure out your own way to the dreamland. So idea is that you need to help customer reach to that dreamland and the situation where they realize the value of the product. Otherwise it's just a product, and it's not solved any problem for them, it's there's no benefit to them, so why will they buy again? And even like with the best of retention, you will not be able to, or tactics or strategy or like win back emails or like 50% off discounts, you will not be able to convert them. So idea is to get them to that dreamland. So so once you get that, like a value realization of the product, so in that it comes down to like be it guide, be it anything else, like be it like purchase, be it like how to use, be it like any kind of a enhancement or anything they can do to get most out of that product. So anything around that will help you with the customer to get to the value faster. So once the value is realized, then they can start thinking about the second purchase. So that becomes a main important part. And there can be like something like videos, there can be Instagram wall, there can be like more content, more community, so everything around that. But the idea is that if someone is buying, so we need to take them to their dreamland or that desired result. It's not about just selling the product, it's getting the desired result or the output. So that's really important. And third is like personalization. So personalization, Amazon does it really well, but like for repeat buyers, specifically personalization for repeat, like personalization, everyone talks about personalization, but I've seen very few personalization for repeat buyers. And if I know that I have purchased an order or I placed an order from this brand and I go to home page or like I go to account page or like even I go on the product page, there should be something for me which relates me back to my purchase. Like it's not, I'm not saying that it needs to be very like implicit but explicit, but it needs to be somewhere in the experience, maybe in the recommendation part, maybe in the homepage part, maybe asking for reviews, asking for this thing, like or replenishment. But you need to have that repeat purchase sequences, like personalized experience. And it can be like a discount on next purchase pop up, or there can be like welcome back or like anything like those kind of things is also at least to personalize something around that customer experience. So that becomes a really important part. Next is like good customer onboarding. So that's like onboarding is mostly like it's both ways, like it works for SaaS also, e-commerce also. And onboarding is the messaging part. Like it's not about the features, because e-commerce, like if you talk any Shopify store, so everything is the same, so it's not about that, like how to place an order. So not that kind of a onboarding like what Dropbox does. But in this case the onboarding becomes where how the product got made, or how the why we started, what's the main benefit, what's our promises, what's our goals, what we stand for. So those kind of things becomes a part of your story, your onboarding. And mission, reason for existence, and like a strong why to customer. And basically you need to communicate these. And to create that repeat purchase or like emotional connect, you need to keep on harping on these. So customer, like sometimes our client also says that why we need to emphasize on the emotional, or why we need to tell our story again in the before purchase also, after purchase also. But that becomes really important for getting a good onboarding, that you need to communicate that your mission statement, your value proposition, your emotional side, so there is a emotional connect. Otherwise what happens, that there is about a space something story or some like copywriting jingo is there on the copyright, like on the about us page, but that's just there, like it's not communicated on emails, it's not communicated in the ads, it's not communicated on the product level after purchase. So then it becomes very much that the retention is not coming through, and because you have not invested the time to create that emotional bridge, or you have not invested the marketing dollars to create that like emotional drift. So you need to spend that like get to that point where you are able to create that emotional side to the your product experience. And email is a great way to do that. Maybe like a Facebook might come very late, if maybe at Coca-Cola level, but like for email you can really start this. And there is like a sequences, and last is in the terms of tactic is 1% feel special. So this comes from a philosophy that you don't need like a million fans, you just need like 1,000 your fans, like raving fans, and even if you have like 1,000 fans, you will be able to sail it through. So that's the idea behind it. And in that, like you need to make because everything needs to go in that direction, like how you communicate with the 1% and how you make them feel special, that becomes a really important part. And it also comes down to like listening to your 1%, making your products for 1%, and driving everything around your 1%. So send handwritten notes or like communities around products or feature requests. There is like priority support or like surveys or special discounts. So everything starts come from that taking care of your 1%. Maybe if you are very small, you can have a WhatsApp group or like a Facebook group for your 1%, or like some like depending on the industry. But that's becomes a really important part, that you are too active with your 1% core audiences and you are listening to them. And so that's like five tactics in the terms of clear operational. Then you have like your listening to 1%, then you have your what you yeah, like onboarding, then there is a like operational frequency, and about the this part I just forgot that, but it's mostly to do with the onboarding and personalization and post value realization. So those are like five important parts. And once this is there, then we get to, so this is like a prevention. But if you're not able to prevent, so at least learn from it. So if someone labs, so the problem is that you can try to get them converted, but you need to get to the emotional or like the actual reason. And for that you need to answer these two questions, like what made them buy in the first place. So that's like your post purchase surveys. And second is like how would they rate their product experience and why. So this is your like a win back question, where you are asking them that how would they rate your service. And this can be also part of NPS, but we try to put it in win back, and we will share some examples also. But the idea is that why someone bought from you instead of your competition, and if they are not buying again, so what made them stop, or how was their experience. Because it's rude to ask like why you stopped, why you are not buying. But what you can ask always is that how was your experience and why. So that also opens up a lot of questions for you, answers for you. And post purchase surveys, like the my favorite is like what led you choosing. Because I always feel that in this industry, or like in the age of Amazon there or Alibaba, there is nothing unique to the product. So then it comes down to like why customer went to your product and not your competition. And that becomes a very fundamental question. It can tell you about the marketing, it can be talking about like maybe some like there is a some emotional or some goal, or there is some like made in USA, or made in like they want to support local businesses, or they care about that community, or they really like you on YouTube, or like they really like your Instagram page and they really connect with that. And that will give you a lot of answers that why they bought from you, not from Amazon. So it's not that customer doesn't know that Amazon doesn't exist, or like they definitely know about the existence of Amazon, but still they bought from you. So there needs to be like a reason for that, and you need to, it's like a, as a marketer or as a like working on this, it's our role to job to get it out and know this answer, that what led you choosing this brand over other options. And second is like, aside from price, if there is any, because people always say price, so it's always like apart from price, anything which attracted you, and what other products we should like. This is more from a futuristic perspective, but this is an important question. And next is Winback. So Winback surveys is basically, it comes after 90 days of purchase. So why have you stopped buying? Is there any other brand you are buying from, or what does any other brand does better than us? So it's a, like more exploratory questions, but the idea is to get that like why this is happening and why you are like not buying from us. And if you are bring this like in the part of your welcome like a win back sequence, then you can easily ask these questions. And you can give options also, like 4 tick marks or 4 like click options, and they can choose from there. But idea is to keep it open, so you get that like open-ended question. So I really like open-ended because there is no prejudice, there is nothing. So because what happens if you give options, then there is always like customer will go for the like least objectionable option out of 4. So it's basically to always give open-ended questions, so you gather insights. It's tough to calculate or tough to like compile the learnings, but now with the AI and all those things, you can easily compile those learnings as well. So that becomes a like a learning part. So you learn after purchase, you learn for the lapsed customer. Now supposedly you try to prevent it, then once that happens, you are learning and like understanding the core reason and trying to fix the problem at the core. And that's the only solution. Like you need to fix the problem at the core. If you feel that a winback flow will save the day, it will not happen. But winback flow can give you the data, give you the best practices, give you the sequences, and which can help you to collect the data, and then you can like save the day. So that's the idea behind it. And in that, if you look at like from a lapsed customer owned channel perspective, so uh, this is basically from own channel, but this is like broad that for lapsed customer what we can do. And the main part is the what's the messaging like. So we try to prevent, then we like try to figure out the reasons. Now it comes down to like what will resonate. So typically the resonate whatever you will like the problems or this. So if something changes, then definitely they will resonate. But till that time, the communication becomes more around like new arrivals, so new arrivals or new collection. So that will help you or to get the opportunity to say to the customer that we have changed, there is something, we listen to you and we launched this new product, we listen to you, we changed this policy, we listen to you, we did this something different. And that opens up a opportunity or like a opportunity for customer to try it back. So that's why the new arrival or the launch becomes really important. Second is the anniversary or birthday. So because typically lapsed is taken like 90 day in after purchase. So the idea is to elongate that process. Like instead of asking after 90 days, you try to figure it out after like a long or like after a year, and try to reignite that like the demand or the interest or the desire. So that's the whole idea, that because most of the marketing will be like covered I think in 3 months, or maximum if you include campaigns also, it will be done and over in next 6 months. So there is a like a big opportunity for reaching the customer after a year. I would not advise, like I would say that you need to keep on touching them in the middle, like after every 90 days. But at least it's a good touch point for the old customers also, and for the previously lapsed customers as well. And new arrival is there, then offer is definitely like you can always give offer. And offer, typically in this we say that you need to top your welcome offer. So you need to go little bit higher than your welcome offer, because if you give the same offer, then it would not work the same process, because customer has already seen this, customer has already seen the whole like experience the whole product. And you can always have the informative side of things. So and that's also to show from a like a change perspective, like this, because the whole idea is that something was lacking, that's why the product customer lapsed. and now you are trying to fix that. So the customer should get that feeling, otherwise it will land on deaf ears, so it will not have an impact. And rest is like a segmented campaign. So segmented, you can always tell about like points available, you can tell the offer available, or you can have the dynamic, like recognize their purchase and try to do upsell, cross sell, those kind of things. We typically do it like within 40-50 days or like 60 days, but at Winback, like 90 or 180 days also you can do the same process again. But the idea is that focus more on the learning and less on the this like a recommendation. But still the recommendation based on their last purchase will work definitely. And then there is like automations which are like Winback and extended Winback flow kind of automations. And if you are not getting the success, mostly what happens that email stop working after a certain time. And for email, the recency becomes a very big part. And if customer is not active for 6 months, is as good as like not active or like non-existent on the email side. So email relies heavily on the recency factor because of the deliverability or ISPs and all those things. So the idea is to, if it's not happening on email, or at least if you are trying on email, I would say to explore other channels like SMS or paid, and you try to figure out that how you can communicate to the customer, because it's more about like a channel is a communication channel. So it's more about the message, that what the message the channel carries over. And the messages are mostly like win back offer or new arrival or uh, like any recommendation or those things. So those are the message, and you can communicate the same over Facebook ads, you can communicate the same over SMS. So those are the two options where you can, like, if the email is not working, or you are not seeing the results through a single channel, like you need to bifurcate the strategy across multiple channels. So yeah, so that's the communication side of things. Now yeah, pretty much that's the part. We try to prevent it, then we get to the this part, like we get to the prevention, then we try to get the retention from day zero, and we try to build it up with the clear communication, or strong onboarding, or value realization, or better customer support and those things. And if we are not able to get that and still something falls through cracks, then you try to get them on the you try to learn that what falls through the crack or what's not working, and then you get the feedback on the product, on the service, on the delivery, on the product, on the whole experience. And then if you are sure about that, like you got the results. And it's a continuous process, like learning is not a one day learning, it's like a continuous process. So you keep on learning and appending and adding up new things, and then you move to your this thing the execution side. Execution becomes like where you are able to do the communication side of things, and you are take everything what you have created and learned, and then you are able to channelize into email, SMS, or paid marketing. So now the time for offer. So what we do is we increase customer lifetime value by up to 30% in 45 days. And if you are looking to increase, and if you feel like your ads are not profitable, or the margins are not working out, or this thing, so you can always reach out. And we help brands where they are not able to get the ROI on paid, and they are not able to see profits in the business. So we get them profits through customer lifetime value, through price level changes, through a product level changes, through weeding out the bad products and all those things. So that's and we have worked with 50 plus brands, and we have worked across the niches. And you can always reach out to me on LinkedIn, on email, and yeah. So that's pretty much it. And we are doing this every week, so we can at the same 9 a.m. Eastern, we will be live next week as well. So thank you for your time.